Can we just sleep real quick for a while? And then...
There's your intro. Welcome to episode 31 of the Liberator Podcast. It's just the Liberator Podcast today. James Silverman, Sam Riley, T. Russell Hunter. We don't have a special guest, but we still have things to talk about. This episode is going to be talking about March Madness.
It's crazy out there.
Yeah.
It's just insane this year.
Yeah. I love the sports ball.
Yeah, we're going to talk about March Madness this entire episode, and we're not really going to talk about basketball. I mean, although it has been crazy.
Crazy. 15 seeds, 14 seeds. Shout out to UCSB, Jacory McLaughlin, my former high school teammate.
I thought they had more than 14 seats in a stadium.
See, Sam doesn't know anything about basketball. I know a little bit, and I can get into it. But James here, he's a true fan, and probably could talk this entire episode about March Madness and basketball. I mean, we actually were coming back from a conference doing the work of abolition, and we had to stop at a Buffalo Wild Wings to watch your... But that's pretty... Ladies, you don't know this about Sam, but he used to play high school basketball with guys that are going to the NBA.
That would be James, not me.
You know, the guys. These, I don't know. I don't see these guys except for when we're filming. Whatever.
He's losing his mind.
Yeah, I do. March Madness. I do that to you guys all the time. So I'm sorry. We're not going to cut it. We're just going to keep going. But today, talking about March Madness, just to get serious here, not referring to the basketball stuff, but just we're now in the 48th year of madness in this country about the abortion holocaust. But this March, we've just seen Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, just pro-lifer after pro-lifer, pro-life governors, pro-life lobbyists, pro-life legislators, just saying the most absurd, ridiculous things. And so a number of things have happened out there in the movement to abolish abortion, and we're going to talk about them today and go through a couple of clips and just talk about how absolutely insane they are. Okay, so let's start with Arkansas. Give us a little update on what's happened in Arkansas so far this year, and then what just went down yesterday.
Yeah, so Arkansas has a bill titled SB 6, and this is a bill that we've gotten lots of questions about because the author, Jason Rapert, has used the word abolition in his promotion of the bill and all that sort of stuff. And so it's a bill a lot of people are thinking it is an abolition bill, but it actually isn't. We have an article about that up on our blog if you want to go read it, read all the specific problems with the bill. But anyways, this bill passes. Now, the
reason it wasn't an abolition bill was because just for those who haven't read the thing,
right.
The specific egregious non-abolitionist type stuff in it were like the two main ones, right?
Yeah.
The thing that was most maddening was we plead with the Supreme Court of the United States of America.
We're not paraphrasing. It actually says that. We plead.
Like it's like writing legislation, calling it an abolition bill. This is a guy who's talked to abolitionists too.
Yep.
And then instead of ignoring Roe or defying Roe or challenging Roe or just upholding the Constitution, it's pleading with the Supreme Court to allow Arkansas to establish the right to life and equal protection to all babies. So there was that, and then also...
Yeah, also it has the automatic immunity for the mother in all cases, and so self-induced abortion is still perfectly legal, even if the bill, by some miracle, is upheld. Abortion is still legal in Arkansas. You just can't get help from an abortionist to do it.
Yeah. And so you can murder a baby with a coat hanger, over-the-counter,
however you want to.
Online pills or anything like that, and you are immune because the pro-lifers don't believe in equal justice.
Right. And so this bill is not an abolition bill. But anyways, it gets passed, started in the Senate, went over to the House, got signed by the governor. Now the governor goes on CNN to talk about this bill. And the governor, whose name is Asa Hutchinson, he says to CNN, he says, it is not constitutional under Supreme Court cases right now. Right, and so he's saying, as the Alabama governor said when she signed that bill, life of conception bill there, he's saying that the Supreme Court, their word is law. The Constitution is not law. He knows, as everyone does, that abortion is not constitutional, and the Supreme Court included, Democrats included, everyone knows that. It's obvious. But he's saying their word is law. And so because they said it's not constitutional, it's not constitutional.
Right. And it's an interesting thing because it's like he has that word now in there. Like it's not constitutional because the Supreme Court has ruled that the right to murder babies is constitutional, but the Supreme Court could change their mind on that and then it would become constitutional.
Yep.
Which means that the Supreme Court is the ultimate arbiter and authority.
Yeah.
They are the law of the land.
And it really is a view that holds to like basically a living constitution, which is what we accuse the left of believing. But even the right believes that that the Constitution can change to mean whatever the Supreme Court says it means.
Yeah, because this guy is a conservative, right-wing, pro-lifer.
Hardcore conservative guy, yeah.
Yeah, and probably prior to this and even after this gets the praise of the Students for Life of America type groups and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, he did basically what we would expect him to do. He was a pro-lifer. Even though the Arkansas bill wasn't an abolitionist bill, it still looked scary enough to him.
And there was actually one part of the bill that was good, the abolitionists. It didn't have allowances for murdering children conceived in rape and incest. It didn't have that. Yeah. Now, Asa Hutchinson goes on CNN, and he says, I did prefer a rape and incest exception, but I didn't get to vote on that. So he's saying,
I signed it because it is a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, if he's saying, if I was in the legislature, I would have amended this thing and put a rape and incest exception and allowed for the murder of those babies.
Yeah, and so we should translate that.
They're not human beings.
We should translate that. I think that children should be punished to death for the crimes of their fathers.
Pro-life Republican hero.
Because I'm a pro-lifer. And that's what I would wanted to put in there, but I went ahead and signed it anyway. Yeah. Now, I do think that guys like this sign it to get the kudos and the photo op.
Yeah.
And then know that it's going to be challenged. But he knows it's going to be challenged, so he's just like telegraphing.
Yeah.
I signed this unconstitutional bill.
Right.
Madness.
Indeed.
So, madness case number one.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about Arkansas and what's going on there? There's no other bill or there's nothing else going on there that could be amended or
that was the one. They'll appeal it up the chain, see if the Supreme Court will hear it 4 years from now and get denied and start all over again.
Yeah. So we do hope that those sort of like pro-lifers that are like on the fence about abolition and they saw this and they thought it was some kind of like transitional form or, something. We hope that this is this whole thing is a lesson to them that what we really need is for all people who are opposed to abortion, who think abortion's murder and it should be criminalized, to actually join us in not just passing bills, but passing sort of the entire ideology of what we're doing. Yeah. Straight up, hardcore defiance of the unconstitutional, unjust opinions in Roe v. Wade, and establishment of equal protection, which does mean protecting children conceived in rape, and it does mean extending the laws of protection to all people and not giving immunity to mothers or fathers or anyone else who murder any preborn children.
Yep. And if you want to read more on that, go to our homepage, go to the menu, what we believe, and then criminalization. You can read all about why we must not give that allowance to murder to the mother.
So that's straight madness in Arkansas. Let's move on to some madness in Texas.
Yes, this was a good one.
Yeah, Texas. We've been to Texas a bit, and there's been a lot of activity in Texas. Upcoming, I guess, by the airing of this episode, we'll have been in Texas for our soon to be in Texas again for a rally.
Hit the record button on that.
On the 30th. All right, so before we push play on this, can tee us up for what's going on in Texas, probably just for about the past month or so.
Right. So Brian Slayton, who is a freshman state representative in the state of Texas, has put forward House Bill 3326, which is a bill to abolish abortion immediately in the state of Texas in defiance of Roe v. Wade. Now we're waiting on a hearing date for that. There's going to be a rally for that bill on March 30th. So everyone in Texas or within driving distance of Austin needs to be there. 2 p.m. Texas Capitol on March 30th. See abolishabortiontx.com for more details on that rally. So there's a bill in Texas, and there was a hearing. So there's a bill in Texas in the House, but there's no bill on the Senate side. There's no bill on the Senate side. There's no Senate co-authors. And so what abolitionists in Texas did is they showed up to a hearing in the Texas Senate State Affairs Committee on some pro-life bills. There were some pro-life bills being heard. Abolitionists showed up to testify against those bills and to say, instead of these bills, you need to take out the language of these bills and you need to put in abolitionist language and you need to pass that instead.
Yeah.
And
so it was like 6 pro-life bills. Right?
Yeah,
6
we're
or
all
so.
being heard. Yeah.
We're all being heard, and the abolitionists knew about this. And I haven't got exact numbers on this, but I think it was, it was like 14 hours of testimony or something crazy like that.
A lot.
And I think more than half of them were there as abolitionists, either opposing the pro-life bills or saying they need to be amended. Mm-hmm. And then the other less than half of the people who testified were pro-lifers showing up to just say the same talking points about the pro-life bills that they've been saying for the past 48 years, but no pro-choicers. So you have, and it's just great because I talked to some pro-lifers outside of the Capitol, and I'm just talking. I'm like, yeah, hundreds of people show up, and half of them are for the pro-life bills, or a little more over half of them are against the pro-life bills, and there wasn't a single pro-choicer or pro-abort that showed up. And they're like, wait, what?
Just trying to process that.
Like who? And I was like, yes, abolitionists are showing up to state capitals to oppose the regulation of baby murder. And so that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And there's lots of testimony. I mean, we could do a whole episode on testimony there.
You can bet that there probably would be a lot of pro-choice people there if they thought that they were going to do anything. But
that's true.
I don't think anything's going to happen.
That's a good point, because I think the pro-choicers now know, these pro-life bills are just displays of this moral position, but 55,000 babies are going to be murdered in Texas under the laws regulating abortion. We don't even really need to go. And they probably got to be weirded out by the fact that if they do go, they're like, man, these abolitionists are really exposing these pro-life bills. I'll just sit to the side. But I did talk to some pro-lifers who thought that abolitionists were being funded by Planned Parenthood, which was very interesting outside of the Capitol. I was like, what? Like, yeah, because you guys show up to oppose the bills. And I'm like, well, think about it. This bill says you can't murder your baby because they have Down syndrome, but you can murder your baby because it's Tuesday. And they're like, oh. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't so much they were saying that. Those two guys, they worked on Capitol Hill, right? And they were saying like the word up in D.C. about abolitionists. Is what they were saying. Right?
Yeah, there's definitely.
Is that, yeah, wow.
They're getting
I wish, we had some kind of funding from Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, if Planned Parenthood like to fund us to fight, because it's like, I don't know enough about Texas, but I'm following the Oklahoma stuff. But like in Oklahoma, here's some madness from Oklahoma, just interjected here. Cynthia Rowe's bill was being passed out of a committee or out of the House or whatever. And she's in the newspaper saying that she's written the bill to reduce the number of abortions, but then also so that women can make a good choice and the person performing the abortion is going to be like an expert in the field and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, this is clearly a pro-choice abortion regulating, keeping abortion legal bill. How does nobody see this? And I go and I look on her Facebook page and stuff, and everybody's praising her and thanking her. But then you have, you have like the 5 to 10 abolitionists showing up to say this is just madness. Yeah. So it is what, from the guys that I talked to, from the fact that, these guys in these hearings, the legislators, the lobbyists are like, man, this is so weird. Abolitionists are showing up to expose the unfruitful deeds of darkness that we've been getting away with for 40 years, whether they mean to or not. And so it is a really good development. And from some of the guys that I talked to who are very much paying attention to this, young men on the pro-life side of things, they are paying attention. And so fruitful conversations were had. So let's talk a bit of the there's too much madness to talk about in Texas. But just for this segment here, cue up what we're about to walk through.
So we're at this hearing, and there's going to be 6 pro-life bills heard. Now, Texas Right to Life is one of the 2 primary pro-life lobbying groups in the state of Texas. Now, they support a thing called the Texas Abolition Strategy, where they're trying to kind of co-opt abolitionist language, and we have an article up on that, on our website as well. It's called "Don't Fall for Texas Right to Life's Faux Abolitionism."
Yeah.
So you can
faux abolitionism.
You can Google search that or Facebook search that if you want to read that article.
Maddening.
But anyway, they have a bill, and basically what it does is it says that this year we're passing a bill this year that says right now you can't abort a baby for the reason of the baby's Down syndrome. And then a few years from now, there's a heartbeat bill that goes into effect, and then a few years after that, there's a total ban that goes into effect. And so that's the bill that they're supporting. That's their abolition strategy. And so John Seago, who is I think he's the political director, the policy director for Texas Right to Life, is here at this committee hearing, testifying in favor of this bill. Now, after he's done testifying, the chairman of the committee, who is pro-life, who's on board with Texas Right to Life's strategy generally, asks him some questions about abolitionists. Yeah. And so let's
I think this is the first. Is this the first testimony of the day?
No.
Okay, so it's a bit in there.
Yeah.
But this is in the middle, just to make sure. There was a opening salvo in favor of gradual abolition, and then just sort of like this softball question.
Right.
Mr. Ziegler, let me ask you about the Supreme Court. It's come up a lot today, and we recognize that there are bills we could pass which would have the appearance of saving lives, but which would, in fact, not take effect.
I do like that. I do like, yes, this isn't the first testimony. It's like, man, people are bringing up the Supreme Court a lot today.
Yeah. But anyway, so right there, he's talking about abolition bills. So what he's saying there is that abolition bills have the appearance of saving lives, but won't actually take effect.
Yeah.
The exact opposite of that is true.
Yeah.
The exact opposite, right? An abolition bill is directing the governor and the attorney general and the district attorneys enforce this regardless of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah. And they can do this. They're just choosing not to do it. So the only reason an abolition bill doesn't protect babies is because pro-lifers refuse to pass them and enforce them.
Right.
But he's doing this sort of, he's a very nice guy, and he's very congenial to everybody, but this is an opportunity for him to do some sleight of hand madness here.
And he's projecting. It's exactly the pro-life bill won't save any lives. And the John Seago admits it. He says, well, for at least 4 years, this isn't going to ban abortion. And then after that, it's another 4 years before we get to the Supreme Court. So you're looking at least 8 years before anything is done.
Yeah.
And yet he's saying it's the abolition bill that doesn't do anything immediately.
Yeah.
It's totally flipping the situation around. Abolition bills do something immediately. Pro-life bills don't.
Yeah. And some people might say, like, oh, maybe he's just confused. No, I mean, this is lying. This is just lying.
He has a law degree. He's a sitting senator in Texas.
Yeah, he's not some kind of a nincompoop. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's going to call the abolition bill an appearance of doing good. So,
which is the pro-life strategy. It's all about giving the appearance of fighting abortion.
Yep.
Do much. It's our goal, and I'm including all of us, our goal to pass bills that will be strong, will save lives, and will take effect. And so let's talk about that.
They do that all
There's
the time, too.
Dear folks,
we're all trying to do something really strong.
Ignore the Supreme Court, just pass a bill today, doing the right thing, ignore the Supreme Court. What about that?
This is like Texas, by the way. This is a Texas conservative guy. And he's like, there's these people here in Texas that are like, we could stand up and just like do this. But this is Texas. And we're like, we don't have like a come and take it spirit or anything. Like
this is Texas. We bow down before the federal government.
Yeah, whatever the Supreme Court says goes. This guy. That's it. That should be his camp. Like whatever future political campaign, be like, just like a guy like bowing down.
I will lick your boots if you require it.
Yeah. It's like a cartoon of him like licking the boots of the Supreme Court dragon. I don't know. Subsequent.
Again, many good people have that view. Tell us about that. Well, what do you think about
flattery.
that? And what should our response be?
Absolutely. And this is a great conversation to have about the proper role of the court, whether they've made mistakes historically, and whether the state of Texas is acquiesced to some of the decisions that they've made or some of the authority that they've taken that they shouldn't have according to the Constitution. That's a good conversation to have, and I believe that we need to continue to look at that. But in the meantime,
have that conversation and then act on it. I like how this does show that the guys in Texas and the abolition movement across the country has been, succeeding in getting the ideas, because he's basically saying, listen, I know the Supreme Court has made some really bad rulings in the past, and other states have stood up to those bad rulings and nullified them. And that's an interesting conversation, blah, 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 blah. But we're a bunch of, pansies. So I do like the fact that we are seeing on his face and in his rhetoric and in his tone, he knows that we have a point and that in the end, we're going to have to get to it.
Have a chessboard set in front of us. And as pro-life Texans, we want to win because that means 56,000 lives saved.
We could do the principal good thing, but we're playing a game of chess here. Yeah. Insert drawing of, pro-life politician, lobbyist sitting at a chessboard with the devil who's allowing them to take pieces off so long as he can keep them in checkmate for the rest of the decade.
And here comes the really good part.
Feel like Texas has the luxury to debate whether the Supreme Court is outside its constitutional box or not.
He's saying we don't have the luxury to debate, right? He's saying that the bill to abolish abortion in Texas is just about, or the abolitionist movement is just about a debate about whether or not the Supreme Court is outside of its box. No, we're not debating anything. We are putting the Supreme Court back in its box. We're not debating anything. And he wants to act as if there's no teeth to this. There is teeth to this.
Yeah.
We don't intend to just pass it and say, oh, we succeeded. Yeah. No, it's about the governor and the attorney general and the sheriffs and the DAs enforcing this.
Mm-hmm. This government of we the people, we just don't have it's not our place to talk about this, whether it's constitutional or not, Yeah, he got to sort of back out and let them do whatever they want.
He's basically, you almost can't fault him because he's looking at our bill the way he looks at his bills, and he knows that all his pro-life bills are just for show and they don't do anything and they're just going to get thrown out just for fundraising or votes or whatever. And he's assuming that our bill, which says, write this law, pass this law, enforce this law, stand up to the government and everything that it says, he's saying, oh, this wouldn't do that, because the moment that, some lawyer somewhere says, I'm sorry, this isn't allowed to go into effect, we all just go, oh okay, yes, yeah. And so it's interesting. He is interpreting the abolition bill from his, can I say panty waist?
Sure,
perspective, his pro-life panty waist perspective. I
think they've gotten so used to judges ruling and making legislation when they're not supposed to that they don't actually know what it looks like to make something that's actually effective.
Yeah. And even though he's citing seemingly that is a conversation that needs to be had, standing up to the Supreme Court, has the Supreme Court ruled unjustly, but he's got this sort of thing but Texas, we aren't going to be the ones to do that. Texas right to life, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Texas right to life doesn't think that we should stand up to evil, unjust, unconstitutional rulings or opinions of the Supreme Court. Right now, we don't have the luxury to fight for these children's lives. What we need to do is continue to pass these things that we've been doing for the past 5 decades of the Holocaust.
Right.
I believe that we need to be boldly headed to the Supreme Court to argue there is a state interest in protecting life. And these types of cases we've been talking about
today, do it, you weirdo.
In the judicial system, get us to that fight. I do think it's important for us to look at the Constitution and examine that, but we don't have the luxury to wait. When you look at the numbers of abortions every year, 56,000 every year,
we don't have the luxury to wait, but I'm passing a thing that doesn't even ban abortion until 200,000 more babies are murdered at least. But we don't have the luxury to wait.
This is the guy who lies and calls his thing an abolition strategy and puts it on an 8-year plan. Did you just do that math right? No, 56,000.
I think it's a 4-year. I think the ban goes into effect in 4 years, right?
I thought it's you've got the pre-NDA thing. Yeah. Then you've got the heartbeat thing, which is confusing about whether that would do anything anyway, but it may be 12-week, maybe whatever, but babies will still be murdered. Most babies are murdered before that period, and can be murdered in compliance with heartbeat stuff. And then you have the Texas abolition strategy. But if you think about it, in their worldview, they pass a bill, they don't enforce the bill, and they wait for the Supreme Court to meet to vote on hearing the bill and then hear the bill. So we're really talking not about 8 years. We're talking about like 2 decades, because it's like a bill that goes into effect in like possibly 4, maybe 8 years. And then how long it takes for the Supreme Court to get to it. So either this guy is an idiot, and I'm sorry if I'm being a little harsh, or he's been so destroyed by his own rhetoric that he doesn't know what he's saying. But he's literally arguing against himself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, for the idea that it's pro-lifers who are the ones who are acting with urgency, and it's abolitionists who are taking our time, or that's the picture he's trying to paint here.
Yeah,
that is insanity.
Yeah,
that is madness.
Because if you had
that's craziness.
Every pro-lifer in government and every pro-life citizen in the state of Texas adopt a principled, compassionate, strong abolitionist view, not just pass the bill, but pass the ideology, and they all stood behind it, it would be a criminal act in the state of Texas at the end of the year to murder a child in the womb.
Yep, by September.
And then that would get you to the thing he says he wants to get to, the Supreme Court battle.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just trying to annoy the Supreme Court over this period of time, where eventually they're just going to pick it up. And it's like the most annoying thing that's actually going to happen to them is if we say, we're not going to listen to you guys, and we're going to establish justice.
They can do that. Like the Supreme Court can just be like, yeah. And they should. I mean, like, I hate to be on the side of the bad guys here, but the Supreme Court should look at it and be like, are they even challenging the central doctrine of Roe v. Wade?
They're just stroking the ego of the justices on that court. They're just saying, we basically are just going to do whatever you say.
You are God.
So just tell us whether we can or not.
It's just a dance. Do they call the March Madness in basketball a dance?
The big dance.
The big dance. It's a big freaking dance, and it's all madness. Play more of this drivel.
Yep. Lots more good stuff. We don't want to waste time.
Mr. Siegel, let me ask you about abolition.
Now we get to equal protection.
Strong feelings about this. Pro-life people want to see the end of abortion. Because of particular bills that have been filed and have been supported by groups in Texas and other places, we've heard of folks who, by abolition of abortion, want to criminalize the mothers.
Okay.
Want to criminalize abortion.
Yeah. At the beginning of this, it's another one of these things where he's like, okay, I'm going to talk about, I don't know, not the elephant in the room, because he's the elephant in the room. I don't know what animal, the griffin in the room. I don't know what kind of animal, the dragon slaying phoenix in the room or whatever. The abolitionists are in the room and have been testifying, and he's like, he's doing this thing where he wants to be nice to them and also sort of like try to put us all in the same movement. But he knows that the sort of most strategically minded abolitionists would never even call themselves pro-lifers for this very reason, to cut down this confusion. And he's trying to kind of put them in the same group and say, we all want to end abortion here. But we're all on the same team, but I'm going to now pivot, because I do believe this whole thing's set up. I'm going to now pivot to our next point. We can't defy Roe, point 1. Next point, let's mischaracterize the abolitionists, which he's now referred to as people who want to punish women.
Yeah. Again, there's nothing in an abolition bill singling out women for punishment or anything. An abolition bill says preborn children are equal under the law.
Yeah.
And Roe is null and void. That's it.
Yeah.
Abortion's murder. That's all it is.
It's like he's trying to get everyone back in the camp, though, before he does it, though. He says, we all want abortion to be ended, so we're all in this together. Now, this is what we all believe, so come with me.
But let's oppose. Let's oppose.
We don't like criminalization.
Equal protection and equal justice. It's so weird because they do the things that they accuse us of. Here's where he's going to get super divisive, super misrepresent people, but the important thing is that, and just to make sure that people understand that haven't read HB 3326, in Texas, it says you're allowed to murder a child in the womb if it's done through a legal abortion. It's in the murder code, and an abolition bill would remove this exception for murder in the womb and just make it to where the laws against murder would be applied equally to all humans, regardless of
And that's what they characterize as you're targeting
women.
Targeting women. Right?
Yeah.
It's not targeting women, it's targeting abortion.
Yeah, because this is just, I don't know what to call it. Satanic language games. Yeah.
Now, tell me, is that what's being proposed in this bill? Talk to us about that.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for asking that, Chairman. This bill does not prosecute women who are seeking abortions or even women who receive illegal abortions. Texas Right to Life, we believe at this stage in the movement, at this stage of where we are, we should focus on prosecuting the abortion industry. We should focus on prosecuting the individuals that are making money off of murder. We do not believe that it is in the best interest of the state, and we don't believe it's actually good policy to turn around and prosecute women after we have lied to them decade after decade as a society, saying that they need abortions
let's keep lying to them
in academics, to succeed in their career, or to compete in the marketplace.
To make money off of murder is really the bad thing. Not murder itself, but we got to go after the people who are making money off of it.
Yeah. And salient point number 1, abortionists do not go out into the culture looking for babies to kill. They may advertise their services to a culture of death that wants their services, but this whole idea that we have to go, like going after the providers is going to do something, especially, and this guy knows this too, that you can get online and you can order abortion pills now.
Right, and he'll get to that in a minute. He'll talk about that. But the point he was making here is that, women have been brainwashed for all this time that abortion's okay and that they need abortions to succeed.
So we can't start unbrainwashing them.
Right. And so let's continue brainwashing people into thinking that preborn children aren't fully equal under the law with our pro-life bills and don't treat them as equal under the law. That's what pro-life legislation is, brainwashing society. It's teaching people that preborn children are not equal in value and as worthy of protection as us. Pro-life bills do that. John Sego's bills do that.
How are they going to learn that abortion's wrong if there's a punishment on them?
The women are confused about whether this is murder, so let's tell them that it's not murder. Yeah. I mean, I know I've got this reputation, and I don't expect that this guy even knows who I am. Well, he may, and he's not going to like me for this, but this is madness. This is worse than madness. This is flagrant, self-refuting trash that he's doing this, and that I'm assuming he wrote down and he thought about and he talked to the guy beforehand and says, oh, we'll get him on this. Yeah. And it drives me nuts that lots of well-meaning people whose hearts are in the right place about the unborn follow this guy and this organization, Texas Right to Life, send them money and back this. And don't ever stop to think. I mean, we're just watching it now and just thinking about it. It's like, this guy's like, listen, decades of our culture telling women that they can't succeed without abortion. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe it's murder and it should be criminalized. And in the future, blah, 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 blah. But right now, we can't even begin to tell them that. Mm-hmm. This is trash. This is madness.
Yeah, coming from Right to Life, he's very clearly saying that he does not believe in the right to life. He's saying criminalization is wrong, and so you don't really ultimately have a right to life.
Dead certain. He may believe that somewhere in his heart or I don't know where. I don't know, in his belly he believes that, but this guy, he can be as mad at us or as mad at abolitionists. He can find nice ones, mean ones. I'm just telling, if this guy could extricate himself from the fact that he's being paid by pro-lifers and part of the pro-life establishment, industry, whatever it is, and really assess his stuff and say, what the heck am I doing? Am I really a fool? Because this is foolishness. And it's people like this and the platforms they have that keep abortion from being abolished, because he's providing the substitutes, he's providing the delusions, and he's getting everybody who would back HB 3326 not to back it under the guise that it punishes women, which is a euphemism for establishes equal protection, which is what they all say they want. Yeah. Evil.
Crazy. That's why it should be a requirement for every legislator and lobbyist like this to actually go out and stand in front of these abortion facilities and watch the mothers go in and murder them. Because you can't see that and actually have this kind of asinine view that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We've told them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
They say it's murder.
They're
Like,
out there like, I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. And like, if they knew that people at the abortion mills were repeating this rubbish that they were raised on,
Yeah.
it's not the culture telling them that abortion isn't a murder. It's freaking Texas right to life and all the people who support them.
Yep. And go to notavictim.com to see lots of videos like what Sam was talking about.
Very important. Notavictim.com. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then turn around and say, now you're a criminal after we've put up with this for decade after decade.
Quit. That is not true. We are not saying people who've had abortions in the past are criminals. He's straight up. I don't know if he just messed up. He didn't read the bill right. We're not saying people who've had abortions in the past are criminals. This bill specifically states the effective date of this bill, I think, is September 1st, and anything done before that is not in violation of this act.
Yeah. And if he were really stupid, I would be like, okay, he just doesn't understand it. But he's not stupid. That guy's not stupid.
He's in college for bioethics, and he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And what drives me bonkers there is that like he's doing that shift like it's going to be retroactive or whatever.
Yeah.
But like if you pass a law saying it's criminal to practice child sacrifice, to murder your child, to take poison, it's a criminal act, and you shut down all the mills and you take all the pills and you tell everybody in the state, everyone will know. When they do it against the law, they don't need you to tell them it's a crime. They know they're criminals.
Yeah.
They're literally breaking the new law in Texas that establishes protection for their babies, and they're breaking that law. They are criminals.
Yeah.
And how do they know it? The law told them. It's like, does this guy claim to be a Christian, like a Bible believer? The whole like law as a tutor thing? Oh my goodness. I know I've watched this before, but watching it with you guys right now is just, I'm going to have a heart attack or something.
Decade. I don't think that's good public policy. I do think after Roe is overturned, there needs to be another public policy debate about what do we do about women who are self-aborting.
Again, delay.
There are organizations that are already preparing to sell chemical abortion drugs over the internet, to create a black market for that. That's a different public policy.
That's interesting. That shows me he's probably read our website.
Yeah, he's reading the websites.
Yeah.
He's probably had some conversations with Bradley or Wesley or JR or someone up there,
Right.
who said, hey, your bill is just protecting mothers who order abortifacients to kill their babies.
Right. Yeah, and as he referenced, there are websites. You just go online. You can order pills. They come straight to your house. They come with instructions. Here's how to take this pill. When to take the first one.
He said
when
it
to
like
take the
they're
second
developing it. They may be developing sort of FDA approved ways, but like there are pharmacies in India and Canada that will send these to you right now.
Right.
So part of the absurdity of all this don't punish women stuff and mothers and fathers is just that the actual crime of abortion, killing your own child, is so much worse because it's your parents who are doing it to you. Like, you can understand how maybe a contract killer would be willing to kill someone else's kid. More understand it, I guess. But if it's your own parents, your own flesh and blood killing you, that is a heinous crime, like a more heinous crime than just a stranger killing you.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to take care of you.
The crazy thing is in our law now, if you hire somebody to kill somebody and that person's like, I'm not killing anybody for you, Joe. I'm not going to, what's Carol Bassett?
Carol Baskin.
Yeah, Exotic Joe or whatever, Joe Exotic, if hires someone to kill Carol Bassett, he doesn't kill her. Baskin, whatever, cat lady. Doesn't kill her, and he's in prison for hiring. So it's like, okay, let's get real fair here. If you pass an abolition bill, abolishing abortion as murder, and then somebody gets online to find an abortionist and it's like a sting or something like that, they would be being charged for seeking out murder. You know, like if we were really being equal here, but he's just got this so upside down view of the whole thing.
The debate right now, the movement needs to focus on Roe v. Wade. How can Texas play its part in overturning the most egregious, unscientific, and legally erroneous ruling of our Supreme Court's history?
According to his own standard, you're not playing any role in overturning Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. When people show up to try to play that role, we stop them by lampooning them, misrepresenting them, and putting up fake bills and taking their work. Like, I think the AATX guy should be blasting him all day long for calling his crap abolition strategy.
It would be way more effective, according to his own thinking, if he were just to go to the Supreme Court every single day and yell, "Hey, get rid of Roe versus Wade."
Yeah.
That would be more irritating to them than anything that this guy is doing right now.
Egregious, unscientific, barbaric, whatever he's just said. I mean, he's saying this is what this is, but I'm going to accept it. I'm going to halfway maybe challenge it in the future.
Yeah. And here's where I like to play kind of the Scott Glusendorf trot out the toddler thing here.
Yeah.
Right. So if he really believes it, he really believes it's the most unscientific, barbaric thing. If he really believes abortion's murder, the preborn child's a human being, and the Supreme Court has forced genocide on the state. If he really believes that, then he must stand up against it and say, no, I'm not going to, because if you admit it's genocide, but then you go along with it, you're no different than the Nazi in Nuremberg in one of the concentration camps who's just obeying orders.
And that's even if you have the lowest view of state sovereignty that you could possibly have. And this is coming out of Texas, one of the only states that signed off saying, we're going to come in with conditions, like we can leave if we want to type thing.
I'm guaranteeing that this guy pretends to be a big.
Yeah. Well, even if you have the lowest view of state sovereignty, you still have to ask yourself, under what circumstances can a tyrant tell you that you, as a governing authority, must allow for the murder of children in your area of influence?
Yeah.
Never. That doesn't make any sense for you to say, yes, I have to obey. Let's just see if they'll change their mind.
Yeah. And he doesn't realize that his children and his children's children will be reading books about how this is who he was.
Yeah.
That in a day and age, whenever there was the United States government saying, you're not allowed to protect babies in Texas, there were some abolitionists who rose up and said, we are going to protect babies within our borders. And then Texas Right to Life stood up and said, we're going to oppose that, delay that, malign it, misdirect people, and we are going to not stand up against the most egregious, unscientific, barbaric, whatever he said, dehumanizing.
It's totally not taking
who he is.
The word of God and all the testimony we have from that seriously. Like if you look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going and sacrificing their lives, like a legislator, you should, even if someone were to, like the federal government were to come down on you and remove you from office and you wouldn't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
You do it. It's the right thing to do.
Play devil's advocate here. You know that passage in the Bible where the Hebrew midwives are about to rescue the babies from their late-term abortion scenario. And they said, oh, wait, but the Pharaoh has said that we're not allowed to do this.
Yeah.
We have to obey them, but maybe sometime in the future.
Maybe Pharaoh will change his mind if we keep petitioning him, if we keep pleading with him, if we plead with him.
That also happens. You go before Pharaoh and you say, let my people go. And Pharaoh says, well, for 3 days. And then you go, oh, well, that's better than nothing. I'm so glad that this guy wasn't Moses. I mean, golly, I know I harshen on this guy, but I'm just like looking at him and I'm listening to him. I halfway don't believe that he believes what he's even saying, but I think I don't know. I don't know his heart. I'm definitely not saying this guy's going to hell or anything like that, but I am saying that if people like him didn't exist and he was replaced with people like us, which sounds really arrogant, but just people who held our view, the state of Texas could literally tell the United States federal government, come and make us.
Yeah.
And the United States federal government, which gets more money from Texas than they give to Texas, would be like, oh, darn. And if they said, listen, Supreme Court, it was an unscientific, egregious, erroneous, unconstitutional, unjust opinion, and we're not going to follow it. We're going to actually follow the Declaration of Independence here in the state of Texas. You can just send your army. The Supreme Court would be like, oh, crap.
We don't have an army.
The people in Texas know that we don't have an army.
Yeah.
But this guy's like, the Supreme Court doesn't have an army, but they have a little paper, and I think the paper was completely false, but I'm going to obey it.
Yeah.
Please send your tax deductible.
And we really can't debate about whether it was constitutional or not.
Yeah, we shouldn't even have that debate right now.
We don't have the luxury. Yeah.
And that's why this episode is called March Madness.
All right, almost done.
How much of this guy can we take?
Well said.
Well said.
If there's any questions for Mr. CEO, thank you for your testimony.
All that.
I think that was it.
I hope that, that's just the cherry on top.
Yeah. And then
this guy is so dumb. This guy's a coward. This guy is panty waisted, as
go back
Russell
to the
said.
pro-life politician. He's like, well said.
Yeah, well said.
And all the abolitionists in the room are like, oh, and they're thinking, we made it through this. I hope no one makes a podcast about this. This is why our podcast needs to be like better advertised so people can learn these things. That's a plug. Subscribe. Yeah, support
Share.
us.
And you will no
All that
longer
kind of stuff.
think anything in there was well said if you listen to this.
Yeah, if you
long
were a
enough.
regular listener of the Liberator Podcast, you would know this was rubbish, and you wouldn't even need our help walking through it.
If you were that legislator, you might have said something like, not well said.
So that's Texas, and we could probably talk about. There were a lot of good testimonies, and this same
Lots,
guy.
yeah.
What's this guy's name? This pro-life stooge guy that's with
The senator or the lobbyist?
senator that's running the thing.
Brian Hughes, I believe.
Yeah, Brian Hughes was so nice, and any abolitionist who came across as sort of like nice and would flatter the situation, he was nice back to, and he was even nice to the ones that are like, repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. But without going through it, people can go and look at just different testimonies. The abolitionists did a really excellent job there, and will continue to do an excellent job. And hopefully there's the discomfort that I see in this clip where it's kind of like, we have to get together. We have to ask these questions. I want you to ask me this question. I'll say this. And then this question, I'll say this.
Which is probably what happened, yeah.
Yeah, let's hope we get away with this. And it's like, sorry, man, the jig is up. You're not getting away with this anymore. Hopefully it's just only a matter of time before these people are completely delegitimized and no one falls for their unfruitful deeds of darkness and their rhetoric of just
Foolishness
foolishness
madness.
here. Yeah. So jumping over to Missouri, now this was a committee hearing. They heard the bill, they discussed the bill, but they didn't vote
That day.
on the bill that day. The way Missouri apparently does it is they hear the bill, they discuss it, and then they will like vote on it later. That allows all sorts of backroom deals and stuff to happen.
Yeah.
There's a way around.
Makes it easier to not vote on things they don't want to vote on. So,
Yeah, because the day that they vote on this will be the day that the room's not filled with abolitionists.
Right.
But Mike Moon, just before this, Mike Moon is the representative carrying the Abolition Act.
Senator.
Oh, yeah. So the senator there, and did a good job just basically filing the bill, defending the bill, presented the bill, and then they moved on to testimony. And this is the first testimony.
One of the first ones, yeah. There were lots of abolitionists. It was probably, I'd say, 50 or 60 abolitionists.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of pro-choicers, maybe 10, 15 pro-choicers.
I listened to the whole thing, and there were some pro-choicers
Some pretty
there
hilarious ones,
to
yeah.
like, I guess, oppose other pro-life bills that had come up earlier in the thing that they were already planning to, and I think this one got added later. And when they saw, because the committee chair is like, okay, they go back and forth between for and against, for and against, for and against, and he did a couple of fours for the bill, and some pro-choicers there were like, we've got to get in on this thing.
Yeah.
And then went to the mic very unprepared and just kind of blew up. So there were some interesting pro-choice hijinks.
Yeah.
But this is a pro-lifer who is testifying against, what is the bill there?
SB 391, Abolition of Abortion in Missouri Act. And this guy testifying is Samuel Lee from Campaign Life, Missouri. So kind of the John Seago of Missouri.
Yep.
He shows up to testify. And man, like I said, I was in the room. I was in the hearing room. Sam was downstairs getting all the live stream equipment set up to live stream the Abolition Day rally
This
they had there in
Sam,
Missouri.
not the one
Yes.
you're about to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was an awesome rally, by the way. Really good turnout of Missouri abolitionists, really good speakers. So it was a great event. But before the rally was the hearing, so everyone was upstairs originally testifying. And yeah, I heard this, and I'm in the room just texting Russell like, "Are you hearing this? Like this
Yeah.
is."
I'm like,
This is insane. This is the stuff we're about to hear. This should get anyone laughed out of the building. Like,
Yeah.
this is so stupid. It's unbelievable.
but again, it's still, you can tell it's set up because there's a lot of sort of like applauding each other between the chair and the pro-life lobbyist about how they've been in the trenches together for decades fighting this battle and all this kind of stuff. And thank you for your testimony. But let's listen to pro-lifer.
I'm try to keep my blood pressure down here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Samuel Lee with Campaign Life Missouri to testify for informational purposes only on Senate Bill 391. And first of all, Mr. Chairman, we want to thank the sponsor for his strong commitment to the pro-life cause. No one could ever question that.
Mike Moon has been a strong pro-lifer and done lots of pro-life-y type things and some not so like personhood type things, and has been one of those guys that's probably, wasn't doing abolition because he just didn't know about it or something like that, and it has come around after years. But he has been the guy trying to do the best thing, and now he's got the best thing.
And now it's like, oh crap, we got to try to bring him back into our camp with flattery and all this stuff. Yeah,
and so this is a common sort of trick that just traitors to the cause of justice do all the time. But that's exactly it. It's kind of like, I'm going to oppose this or I'm going to give information against it, but I really kind of, want Mike Moon to call himself a pro-lifer, to be a part of the pro-life cause, to support other pro-life deals, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I just think that's worth noting about the nature at which this beast is.
He's been promoting pro-life legislation throughout his political career, and his devotion to protecting the unborn has been unrelenting, and so we're very grateful for that. And we look forward to working with him for, God willing, the next 8 years.
Madness!
The pro-life movement, God willing, will have to be fighting abortion in Missouri for 8 more years.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the guy at Buc-ee's is like, hey, Missouri's got no abortions. It's an abortion-free state. It's like, here's a pro-lifer in a state where they call it an abortion-free state, saying, God willing, we'll be able to fight in this battle for 8 years.
I hope to be in the trenches with you for another 20, 30, 40 years, maybe.
How long are we going to live? Just that long.
Yeah.
As long as we need a paycheck. But yeah, no.
I'm sure my kids will fight it together.
Flattery.
Yours and his.
I mean, and Mike Moon might know this guy and think, don't be mean to this guy. He's a good guy. We don't know. We do not know this guy, but we can talk about his perspective. Yeah. His perspective is naturally, without even thinking, because he probably wouldn't have said that if he knew we were going to clown him for it.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy, I'm going to oppose his bill. I hope to get him back to supporting my kind of things, and we can do my kind of things for the next 8 years, which is probably the amount of years he has left on his terms.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, context real quick for your comment about Buc-ee's. We were coming back from San Antonio just a few days ago from Dale Rodriguez's conference, and we stopped at Buc-ee's because your kids love all the stuff there.
Yeah, not a sponsor, but Buc-ee nuggets are like the church-approved crack. They're very, very good.
Yeah. But anyways, we're at Buc-ee's, and I'm wearing my abortion-free state Oklahoma T-shirt. And the guy in the checkout line at Buc-ee's says, I really like your shirt. I was born in Missouri, and did you hear we're an abortion-free state now?
Yeah, because that's the shirt. It's the abortion-free state.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
And that's because all these because Operation Rescue, Troy Newman puts out a press release saying Missouri's an abortion-free state because the one surgical facility in the state didn't do abortions in the month of December, and so it's an abortion-free state. There were no operating abortion facilities. It's still legal in hospitals, still legal at OBGYN offices, still legal pills. To do pills, however you want to do it. Yeah. But there was no surgical abortions performed at Planned Parenthood. There may have been surgical abortions performed in any other hospital, but there were none at Planned Parenthood for 1 month, and so it's an abortion-free state, and so all the pro-life and Christian blogs are Missouri now an abortion-free state, and so everyone thinks abortion's abolished in Missouri because of the way the pro-life and Christian blogs cover this stuff, and because of the way pro-life organizations need to put out these dishonest, misleading press releases.
It's all fundraising hype machine.
We're winning is a great, like you said, it's a great fundraising pitch.
Yeah, it's as old as the prophets. Peace, when there is no peace.
To anyone that knows what's going on, it's a really horrible fundraising pitch because, 1 million babies every single year murdered. Yeah. Doesn't feel like winning, really.
Yeah, but the guy working the cash register at the convenience store in Texas from Missouri, well, he's not likely to fight abortion very hard in Missouri because it's an abortion-free state.
Yeah, he thinks it's already done.
Because Troy Newman told me, and Troy Newman, I'm giving him money. So if I'm giving him money, he better be telling the truth. So and it just does this thing, and then people are killing their children in Missouri at the OBGYN. Missouri is not an abortion-free state.
Yeah,
and there's and the pro-life guy here admits it.
Yep.
Because he's there to oppose a bill that would criminalize abortion.
Yep. And that story, the kid, not to bash the kid at all, the kid was a good-hearted kid. We gave him some free the state stuff, and hopefully he's reading our website, becoming an abolitionist.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on back to Samuel Lee here.
Trying to pass pro-life legislation. Regarding this bill, this is one of those bills where members of the pro-life community have a variety of opinions. Some are obviously very much in support.
Wants to put us all in the same.
Others are opposed because it would
And
result
they know
in
we're not part
women
of the
who have
pro-life
abortions going to jail, and others are just unsure. So that's why I'm testifying today for informational purposes.
He says informational purposes, but all the information he gives is opposed.
Yeah.
So he's trying to say I'm neutral, but everything he's saying is against the bill. And so he's just trying to avoid us doing to him what we've done to Tony Lowinger and
there is
Joe
no
Pointman.
such thing as neutrality. A wise man once said.
A wise man once said there's no neutrality. And this guy, again, knows what he's doing. He knows that we have drawn a line between abolition and pro-life. He wants to erase that line, say that we're all part of the same camp, but then kick out the view of the line that we've drawn.
Yeah. And for any pro-lifers or for any abolitionists out there who kind of still think we should call ourselves pro-life, this should be a very clear teaching moment here. The pro-lifers want to blur that line. They want us all to be in one big pro-life camp where we all use the same label because they know that stark line is what separates.
They won't be able to gatekeep if we're not part of their camp.
Yeah.
Right.
It severely frustrates what we're doing. And I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings in particular, but the worst thing you can do to delay stuff once you've adopted the principles of abolition is call yourself a pro-life abolitionist. It's the worst. Yeah. Don't do it. Even if you don't understand it, contact us. We'll go through it. We've done a whole episode on it.
Yes, go back and watch episode 10 for why we must use the A word.
And this episode.
Yes.
Is to try to put out as objectively as possible the effects of this bill if it were to pass into law. And I'm not going to read my testimony, Mr. Chairman. It's been sent to the whole committee members. But it would obviously repeal our parental consent laws. It would repeal the requirement that only a physician can perform or induce an abortion. It would remove any licensing requirements of abortion facilities. Conscience protection would be gone. Bans on taxpayer funding for abortion would be gone. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And why does the list go on and on?
Because in pro-life Missouri, they've passed regulation after regulation after regulation telling people how they can kill babies, where they can kill babies, what they have to do when they're killing babies, what kind of forms have to be filled out.
They wouldn't have to sign it. Like a single thing or look at an ultrasound, they wouldn't be able to kill their baby.
They just wouldn't be able to murder their babies, and we'd have all
and that is terrible.
Yeah.
We have to keep that out of here.
Yeah. So one of the components of an abolition bill is to remove all laws on the books that say you can murder babies, and you can either repeal them or you can supersede them. And it's very clear in an abolition bill when you repeal them, even though it may provide serpents an opportunity to make you look like you're doing something bad, eventually all the pro-life laws in a state protecting the murder of children in the womb have to be done away with if you criminalize abortion. The only laws that allow abortion in the state of Missouri, like in the state of Oklahoma, are written by pro-lifers.
Yeah, you can't have a law saying abortion's murder and a law saying, you can have an abortion up to 20 weeks. You can't; those two things can't coexist. For there to be one, you've got to get rid of the other. But they still want to play this, and I guess they have to really think people are dumb to think.
Well, they get away with it. This is like they get away with this.
Such a dumb argument.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I hate it because like these things have to like run their course, and then people go, "Oh, those abolitionists were saying this 8 years and hundreds of thousands of murdered babies ago." It turns out they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
An abortionist in St. Louis, after finally passing a bill criminalizing abortion, that if it didn't repeal or supersede the laws, would be able to go and be like, no, I'm looking at Missouri state law, and it says I can perform the abortion so long as I'm, 3 miles away from a hospital. Yeah. What do you mean I can't perform it? Sam, what's his face? Gave his heart and soul to pass this bill saying as long as they listen to a heartbeat. So, I mean, it is this kind of stuff. And in the future, that would come up, and we're just trying to keep it from coming up. Yeah. But that would invariably happen.
Yeah.
On and on. And it's
on
in my written testimony. Secondly, this is procedurally how I think it might very well happen. And this is based on observing for well over 30 years, probably 35, close to 40 years.
I've been fighting abortion for 40 years. I'm an expert.
If it's of any significance, it's challenged in court. So we have a bill here which has an emergency clause. Let's say the governor signs it on June 1, goes into effect immediately, and the effect is all the provisions that are bracketed out are immediately repealed. All the provisions that are either amended or any new provisions would immediately go into effect. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU would go into court, federal court more likely than not, could be state court, could be both, right away get a temporary restraining order. So
he's telling the truth.
Whatever is left would be enjoined from enforcement.
Wait, I'll be like,
how long it would take to resolve that? I can tell you when the partial birth abortion ban was passed in 1999, it was struck down in lower courts, wasn't upheld until 8 years later in 2007 by the U.S. Supreme Court. So it could take a number of years where we have no laws on the book.
So we shouldn't start doing that today.
Yeah.
I mean, just like we got to go back and talk about some of this stuff. But literally, if we did this today, it's still going to take 8 years in his view of complete total compliance with all court rulings and never doing anything like what the Underground Railroad people did or any of the free states did back in the 19th century. Even on his view, this is going to take a long time. So we might as well delay it.
Yeah, make it take even longer.
I mean, I know that they lampoon us as being violent, but I kind of want to just...
Well, cowards love
Shake
to
this
have
guy.
the appearance of civility and just
I know.
They're doing the right thing. They're being law abiding, but really it's just to shade himself from all this.
Yeah, you guys may be too young, but did y'all ever see that old Robin Hood movie?
Which
with
one?
Kevin Costner?
Yes, unfortunately.
Where it's like
that was the worst one.
I know it's bad, but the priest that's always loading up his gold, and then Friar Tuck pushes him out the window.
Yeah.
When I hear people like this, I always see that chubby priest loading up with all the gold, thinking, "Oh, what? The jig is up. Robin Hood's setting everything right. We're losing. I gotta go." And it's that guy, or it's in Braveheart. I'm sure there's more modern movies I haven't seen, but it's like in Braveheart, it's the nobles that are like looking all sophisticated and have they could go out and have a steak dinner with people who are killing children or whatever and playing the game or whatever.
We have to have a civil debate with the king. We have to have we have to bring our grievances to the king.
Yeah.
We can't do anything.
And I'm not saying I'd punch this guy or anything, but I sure would shake the crap out of him. Don't edit that out. I mean, I'm just frustrated. It's just
to get back to
what's wrong with this guy?
To what he was saying. He was saying that the court is going to enjoin this, and then we don't have any pro-life laws. No, the court's going to enjoin this, and then the governor and the attorney general are directed to enforce it regardless.
In the show me state.
Right.
Wait. So we're saying that Roe v. Wade is null and void, but we're not going to listen to the court when they say we can't do that?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're saying.
And that's why they don't want to pass it, because they know that passing it is saying this is what we're doing.
Right.
In the event of all this court injunction stuff.
Right. And and this is actually the next point he gets to, and this is the part that makes me want to put my head through the wall that's right behind me. So we're getting to the good part here.
We'll hold you back, James.
Thank you.
These walls are very nice, and I have a lot of my stuff on them.
It'd be a perfect wall to stick your head through.
Well, you guys can blame Samuel Lee for all your artwork getting destroyed.
Okay.
Protecting the unborn. Thirdly, the bill in Section C and in another section asserts that various public officials would not have to comply with federal orders or other types of
because they've taken
rulings
to the Constitution.
And I think this is problematic. This is of course a statutory measure, but our state constitution requires that you, along with the governor and lots of other people, take an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Missouri. So to put in statute that you don't have to comply with that, including complying with a federal court order, whether temporary or not, I think is problematic.
I kept myself from breaking in like 6 times to that whole deal. I was just like, think about something else. Soft, fluffy bunnies.
He should have just said, I bet you think there might be bigger wimps out there than me, but I'm going to prove you wrong with everything that I'm going to say right now.
Or not even wimps, but idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots. This right here.
He doesn't even know what he's saying. Yeah.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Therefore, you can't uphold the Constitution if the Supreme Court tells you not to. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, because he can't, like the other guy.
Yeah.
He adopts the pro-life position of whatever the courts say is law. Challenging it would be like challenging the laws of gravity. He adopts that pro-life position, and convolutes it. But he says we took an oath to the Constitution, which means following any court order,
no matter how evil, no matter how unconstitutional,
even if it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I want to shake him, because I think maybe somewhere in him he can get this now. But there's a part of me that also thinks no, like this is willful. This is willful. I mean, like I don't know how old this guy is.
Well, I don't think that he would obey a
years.
court order that it said he had to call himself Nancy and wear lipstick. I think he'd probably ignore that.
He'd stand up to that.
Yeah.
Well, like, no, people say stuff like, well, back when they were passing federal fugitive slave laws and slave acts that said you couldn't help people, I would have helped people on the Underground Railroad. Mm-hmm. Or if I was a lawyer, I would have defended the people. I would have defended the abolitionists, and I would have stood up to the Supreme Court and blah, blah, blah. This guy, in his own testimony, he is literally saying, I would not stand with the people who were opposing the antebellum fugitive slave acts.
Because that's just lawless.
I would not stand with the people fighting the satanic Nazi war machine. Mm-hmm. I would not stand with them.
I obey orders unconditionally. There's nothing the Supreme Court can say that I would defy. Their word, the Constitution does not matter. Their word is law. Their word is the Constitution in this guy's mind.
And we're not asking for any kind of weird heroic acts. There's an actual constitutionally protected legal public policy route to take here.
It seems the people that love the law the most are always accused of just being totally lawless constantly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this guy, I mean, I don't even know if to say this is lawlessness or just it's madness.
Because like we love the law. Like we want the law. We want the law to say don't kill babies, and you're going to get punished for it.
Yeah.
This guy's basically saying we're lawless because we actually want the law to be.
We're
not obeying all the rulings of the court. We're not obeying everything that the federal government says. Yeah. And so we're just being lawless.
It's Rex Lex. It's Rex Lex, but the court is king. So whatever the fancy Latin word for court is.
It's not Rex Lex.
The law isn't king in this situation. The Constitution doesn't say these courts are ruling wrong. Mm-hmm. The Constitution says whatever these courts say is law, and we must abide. Yeah. And he puts it. Sometimes people say that we strawman pro-lifers, but he puts this so eloquently in all of its self-refuting, compliant insanity.
Yeah. One of the reasons that abortion must and can be abolished immediately is because the Constitution provides the right to life, the right to equal protection of the law. That is what the Constitution says. He knows it. The Supreme Court knows it. Democrats know it. Republicans knows it. Everybody knows it. Uphold the Constitution.
Yep. And he would actually say it if you were talking to him in not this context. You would say, is there a right to murder babies in the Constitution? He'd say no. Yeah. Well, why do they allow? Because the Supreme Court says. Supreme Court was wrong.
Yeah. In his mind, the Constitution is not a binding document.
Yep. Yeah. And the 10th Amendment of the Constitution says that when this happens, a state has the right to nullify.
Because nullification is a natural right.
How much more of this guy can we listen to?
Well, James's head is not through that wall yet. So.
Yeah, until your head's through the wall.
In addition, the bill does have a non-severability clause. Right. So any provision is invalidated. The whole bill, all of Section A is invalidated. Of course, there's a Section B, C, and D.
Yeah, you're right. Probably the rest of this is probably more.
They do try to bring up this kind of stuff as though this kind of clause isn't in every bill, right. But the idea in the bugaboo, the scary thing that pro-lifers are trying to do is say that, the court could throw out the criminalization of abortion, but then uphold the repeals of all the pro-life bills, and they get into a conversation about severability and non-severability, which we'll do a whole episode on. But I think that, the Arkansas, the Missouri, the Texas, just this madness, it's frustrating. It provides us an opportunity to hopefully, like, these folks will not use the law to teach, and they will not use their positions, their funded, paid for pro-life professional positions to encourage people to stand up. And it's not just the people, it's the legislators. You have legislators now that are wanting to do this. They know what they're doing. They're saying, we'll stand up, we'll pass a bill, we want it to be enforced, and we will tell the Supreme Court and the federal government, this is what we're doing within our borders. Your move. Like this would be Missouri saying, we're going to show the nation what it looks like to criminalize abortion within the borders. Oklahoma could do it. Texas could do it. Indiana could do it. Washington State could do it. Any number of these states where they have bills of abolition, they could do it. But lesson number one here, and we beat this horse to death because it needs to be killed, it's pro-lifers. It's not pro-choicers. It's not liberals. It's not Democrats that are showing up to these committee meetings and saying we can't defy the Supreme Court,
and they don't have the power. So like in Texas there were none, in Missouri there were a few, but they don't in those states.
Oh yeah,
in this state they don't have the power to prevent this bill from passing.
Yeah,
it's pro-life lobbyists instructing pro-life politicians not to pass it, and that's why they don't pass it. It's John Seago and it's Samuel Lee. People like that are why abortion has not been abolished.
Because they'll take these legislators out and for dinner, and they'll talk about how, hey, do this thing. This is what the people want, and I'll make sure that we send out mailers for you. And so they have this cushy relationship. I mean, I don't know whether it really dawns on them or not. Like getting rid of abortion would be getting rid of something that I used to win elections. I don't know. I don't know if any of these people are rich. I don't know. I have no comment on their motives, whether it's for sordid gain or anything. But I do know that the legislators and the lobbyists working together to try to stop something that is happening, and that is the rise of abolitionists in this country saying, hey, legislature, uphold the Constitution, uphold the laws against murder and apply them equally to all people. That inherent right to life that Thomas Jefferson wrote about in the Declaration of Independence is true. That's consistent with the law of God and the point of government. And you've got people saying, let's do this. And it is pro-life lobbyists and legislators saying, no, not now, maybe later in decades from now.
If the Supreme Court allows us.
And then saying, we're all doing this in the name of saving children. Mm-hmm. And that's why we call it madness. And we probably should just stop there with the March Madness theme before you throw your head through a wall. And I
Our audience stops listening to us forever.
They're like, okay, guys, we got it. I hit my head on this thing. I was like, that was a lot harder than I thought. But anyway, so that's our episode on March Madness and what the pro-lifers are doing. But we have a couple of other things that we need to do. You might have been watching as I, drank my coffee as usual, but from a different mug. And you might be looking at these things
goodies
here, the goodies, and think, oh my gosh, did the Free the States guys finally get their act together and have a store up? Well,
no.
But soon. No, it's either up right now or it's up tomorrow.
No, don't say that.
It's going to be up. Okay.
Soon.
Yeah, it's up soon. But basically, this is just a number of things that we have. We don't have, moleskins and mugs. We want to move that way at some point, but investing in mugs. But we do have fancy schmancy stickers. Like here's an equal rights for all people, which we've been talking about, equal justice and equal protection.
With a little baby.
We've got some stickers. We'll get to that here in a second. We've got, this is the sort of thing that we just truly believe, and we say all the time, abortion's murder. Everybody knows it. We truly believe that. We believe that people are suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. It's just known. And that whether you're talking about science, philosophy, reason, anything, it's clearly murder. Everybody knows it, and we just think that would be great for you to put on your car, and we take no responsibility.
And then everybody would know that you know.
Yeah, you've had this on your car for a few weeks and it hasn't been keyed or anything like that.
I just hit James's car with my car.
Yeah,
just for fun though. It wasn't
like,
related.
oh, it's those pro-aborts. Like pro-lifers start keying your car because you have an abortionist murder member there.
Yeah.
No, but put this in your car and set up a GoPro. No, you can put that on your wherever you want. But that's good stuff. We do finally have the drop cards of the various
denominations,
art things that we've given away. Each time we said, here's some art, it's going to be on a drop card for that store, we're going to put it up. Well, they're finally printed, they're available. And the cool thing about these drop cards is that, and you can see this on the store site, is that there's something to get them thinking and reading on the back, but then it goes to a sort of read more at, and so they all link to a longer article and gospel presentation and stuff like that, because we want to do both things. And probably there's the shirts.
The best place to put them too is to take off the peanut butter jar.
No, you can't say that
at the store and put it under there.
You can't say that. On. Whatever you do with the drop cards after you buy them is you and something legally.
We don't advise that.
We don't advise you putting them in packages or whatever.
One idea that some people have said is to put it into shirts, but we don't advise that.
Yeah, like put
at like the store, you put it in the pockets.
Yeah. It's like I'm not buying these jeans,
don't do
somebody
that.
else is. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, but you can hand them to people, and you can. I have started doing that more, like at the fast food, just like, and of course, gas pumps and all that kind of stuff. Public places, public cars, public people. We've got the shirts. We'll be producing more shirts, but we've got the 3 to 5 Free the State shirts that we've already produced. Those are available, but probably the main reason that we've decided to have a store and have a store at this time is that we want to make this pamphlet available. This is, how many pages is this?
28.
This is a 28-page pamphlet. A lot of folks that came to the Abolition Now conference got the first draft of this, which looked a little different, and may have had some typos or some things that we changed slightly. We improved it, but we've perfected this. The pamphlet, it goes over the 5 tenets of abolitionism. Those are sort of the ideological tenets of abolitionism, undergirding just the biblical worldview that we put into practice, and then the 5 components of an abolition bill so that people can tell what is and is not a good bill based on those components. So James Silberman here managed to get all of that information into a short pamphlet, very readable, and has, cool image there of people bowing to the Supreme Court and people standing up to it and all that kind of stuff. These are available in the store, and we're hoping, we invested a lot of money so we could buy thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and we're hoping that
they will sell.
They will sell.
Yeah, we've sold something like 2,600 in the pre-order so far. So
yeah,
it's been really, really encouraging. We also got a few messages, like our friend Elena from Minnesota was like, "Yeah, my mother-in-law, I've been talking to her since like 2014 about abolition, and it just never clicked. And then I gave her this pamphlet, and she's an abolitionist.
Lo and behold,
hallelujah!
Yeah, you an abolitionist? You read it and you're like, well, gosh darn it, I guess I am.
Yeah,
but so it goes through all that kind of stuff. It also, compares pro-life bill, abolition bill, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a significant pamphlet. We hope that it blesses the movement, helps the movement in various ways. You can pick up just a single copy. It's nice, high quality deal.
Or you can pick up lots.
Yeah. 1, 5, 500.
1,400.
5,000, 1,400. Then we have to order more, which I guess would be a good thing.
Oh, no, we'd have to order more. More of our material would get out there.
Yeah. Darn it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Sometimes we run into financial difficulties, but I'm hoping that the store will help us in that regard as well.
So very soon. This episode's going up Thursday. Hopefully by Friday or Saturday, the store will be up. If not, early next week, we will have a store. So you can go to our website and we'll have the store. It'll be right up there in the menu. You can click store. It'll take you right to it. And you can get all of this stuff there.
Yep. And it's good. And it's one way you can support us. Another way that you can support us is just by being a monthly member. Like when you buy the stuff, we have to pay for the stuff. So, it does support us and supports gear. But one way that you can just support the work of Free the States just in general, we would love to add staff people, get our stuff to the next level and so on and so forth. We can't do that at the moment, but we are able to do what we're able to do because of supporters.
And it's the last episode of the month, so we're going to draw one of your names out.
So it is.
And do we want to quickly thank Jeff Durbin for the camera?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, is Jeff Durbin's name in here?
Oh, it should be now.
It should be now.
Yeah. So Jeff will put you in. You know what, Jeff? I'm going to send you some art. I'll send Apologia guy some art.
So you guys have been watching this for a while, you'll notice that there's a lot of inconsistencies in the way that we film this. Sometimes the color looks different.
Yeah.
It's because our cameras are terrible.
We've been using, they're not terrible. We've just been using different cameras of different qualities. And
they're not meant for video.
Yeah.
They're meant for photography.
And but those were blessings, and that's what I'm saying. They're good. But
yes, we were abusing them. Just to be clear,
yeah, we were
abusing our cameras, and it looked bad because we did that. But Jeff Durbin was here, and he gave us a really awesome camera.
Yeah. So Jeff was here. The End Abortion Now guys were here, and they just thought, man, you guys are producing this podcast. video stuff with these cameras.
And your cameras keep turning off every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe I should send you a new one.
Yeah, so he sent us.
It's as if someone came in and messed with these photograph cameras and made them do something they're not supposed to do.
Yeah, we like jailbroke the cameras. So we just want to thank Jeff Durbin and the End Abortion Now guys, I guess the Apologia guys, and the people who support End Abortion Now, because the money they raised, they used some of it to buy us a nice camera here and some audio equipment. And so we're thankful to them, and I will, at some point in time, I'll send them some art that they can hang up in their studio there or whatever. So that'll be fun to do. Mm-hmm. But to the folks that have been long supporting us, with monthly contributions.
I have an idea for what you can do for that, by the way.
All right. You
know that meme with the two guys like holding hands like that? Uh-huh. Just do yourself and Jeff Durbin, like just gripping hands in that way.
People be like, who's that guy that Jeff Durbin's with? Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll work on that. We'll just put like a dragon in the background, make it interesting.
Yeah.
But for the folks that have been regularly supporting it, it does look like the bowl is getting more and more people.
Which is weird because we haven't put any more in there.
Oh, I have. Yes, we have. James, every time someone new gives, we put their name.
Yeah, and it would be overflowing, but I have to push the thing down. So for now, I can continue doing that, but we might have to get a new bowl at some point.
I feel like I should mix it up a little bit since you're saying that. And people are going, well, wait, but if I've been supporting for like 2 years, well, what if the bottom of that bowl
crunched down at the bottom?
So anyway, so these are all the names of regular monthly supporters, and what we do, because if we didn't have supporters, I wouldn't be able to work on gear, and these guys wouldn't be able to work on producing this stuff, and so we like to give back. So let me grab, it's on the wall here behind me, but this is the last of the pieces of artwork for our drop cards, and it's weird. Yes, it's very strange. But you have allowed me to make this very strange piece of art. It says abortion can be abolished state by state, and then it has the baby and a cannabis leaf. And the point is, with the 10th Amendment, this was a pen and ink drawing that was used in the production of the drop card, which you can see at the FTS store site. So, as this might not be one that someone hangs on their wall, but maybe they save and they, we'll here on this one, we'll send a package of drop cards with it. So you get this weird piece of art.
I would hang it on the wall.
I mean, I think it's, it's cool, but it's an original, and, maybe it'll be special to somebody. So we're going to send that to some lucky supporter. So who wants to draw this month?
Okay.
I think I've done a couple in a row.
We need a microphone on this, though.
Okay, yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah. Hear that crunchiness?
It's the crunchy sound of support.
Yeah. Okay, so this person, we don't know her very well. She's just sort of a strange individual on Facebook, I think. Her name's Sarah Cleveland.
Are you serious? Okay. I always like it whenever it's like someone's like, I bet you they're watching the show. Sarah Cleveland, very happy to know that you support it. See, that's what's so great. We like it whenever people who are actively engaged in the work of abolition also support.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, there are some people who just can't be active and they support, and that's the way they're supporting, but it's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, Sarah's one of those people who's doing both hardcore.
Yeah.
So
and now I'm thinking we could send Sarah the drop cards with the piece of art, but she's gonna buy drop cards.
She might just use that as a drop card and send it to somebody.
She's like, what am I gonna do with this? It just puts it on someone's car.
Rolls it up, sticks it inside the credit card slot at the the gas station.
Don't do that, Sarah. I like to think that this is a way of protecting the art as well. It's like in the hands of people who aren't going to throw it away. So
that was shocking.
That was shocking. That was good.
Sarah Cleveland.
Cleveland. I guess pretty much most of the names that we pull out, we'd be like, oh, this is somebody we know.
Hey, we know this person.
Lo and behold. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for doing everything you're doing, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And that's the end of episode 31. And we'll be back next Thursday night for another episode of the Liberator Podcast.